night at home. I went to that one. They played Brooklyn. They looked real good. The Celtics had great ball movement, just ran up and down the floor, making shots all over the place. Rondo looked like the all-star point guard they always used to be. After three quarters, they were up 101-72. And it was the first time since, I want to say 2002, that they scored over 30 points in three straight quarters. So even in those great teams with Kevin Garnett and Pierce and the title-winning team, they never had that kind of offense in three quarters of a game before. And then they went out last night, last night in Houston, and they couldn't make a shot. I mean, yeah, the Rockets are a good team, and there aren't really high expectations for the Celtics, but they couldn't hit anything. They made 1 out of 25 three-pointers. 4%, which you never even see that kind of shooting percentage in a box score. You know, it was a franchise record for the worst three-point shooting night they've ever had. So it kind of has a high and a low so far, and I think they're going to be in between. The thing about Rondo that's really impressed me was he broke that hand, and it was definitely suspicious circumstances. I can't actually imagine that what he said happened is really what happened. It just doesn't make sense. But then he was supposed to be out 6 to 8 weeks, and he came back in 4. So I think whatever credit he lost by breaking his hand in a weird way, he gained back by making it back for opening night. And he seems motivated. He looks like he wants to win. My biggest complaint this year, they also signed Evan Turner this offseason. Former number 2 pick. Put up some good numbers in Philly, but the Philly teams he was on weren't very good. They traded him to the Pacers last year, and he didn't do anything. Ended up the last guy on the bench. Boston signed him for not much money, but they signed him to a 2-year contract, which I thought was a little weird. Even though it's not very much money, they're rebuilding, and I don't get why they wanted to add a guy for 2 years if they have a lot of salary cap room for next year. So I was kind of soured on him before the season even started. But in 2 games, he's played decent minutes, and his numbers look all right, but he doesn't pass the ball. Every time he gets the ball, he just dribbles around, tries to do something good, tries to force a shot. That's my biggest complaint. I don't think Brad Stevens is going to keep running him out there unless he learns to pass a little more. Everybody else on the team has had great ball movement. And they got a bunch of good young guys. I mean, this year there's no expectations really, but I think they'll be entertaining and maybe a little better than last year. But really they're building for next year and the future.
What's more likely? The Boston Celtics making the playoffs or the fact that there was only one shooter in the Kennedy assassination?
You know, back in high school, I was a big Kennedy guy. I did a big, long research report once on that. Weren't we supposed to find out what happened? Wasn't there a time a while back when, the Warren Commission stuff was going to get released? I don't know, we're getting off subject, but they could make the playoffs. It's possible. I'd say 15%. So I guess that's more likely than one shooter in the Kennedy assassination. But again, I'm not confident in my stance on that anymore either. So,
well, I hate to actually. I'd love to bring this up, but yeah, it's the Warren Commission. The whole thing is going to come out in 2029 because of the whole JFK. They want to make sure everybody's dead from that. You know, that they can accuse from the JFK movie with Oliver Stone and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that all that stuff comes up. But you would say 15% for the Celtics is higher than the odds that there's a second shooter.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I had that backwards. I thought you meant only one shooter. No, I'd say 85% multiple shooters for sure.
Okay, all right. I like those odds because, I mean, the whole grassy knoll, the other conspiracy, I don't know if you like this one or have seen this one, is the one where the Secret Service man picks up the gun and accidentally fires it and kills Kennedy.
I never heard that one. When did that one gain publicity?
It's on Netflix. I don't know if you have Netflix, but if you have Netflix, you should definitely look up JFK Kennedy assassination or Kennedy assassination conspiracy because that one's on there. But if you don't, I will definitely send you the other one on YouTube. But it's a very good conspiracy. it seems it just seems too far fetched. I like the grassy knoll conspiracy. I mean, it just seems like there has to be a second shooter. And I only bring this up because we're in the month that the Kennedy assassination
That's
happened.
right. It's coming up soon. Yeah, it's my dad's birthday actually, so I always remember the date.
Oh, your dad was born on November 22nd.
Not on the exact day that it happened, but like 8 years earlier. But yeah, same date.
Well, either way, I mean, it's like, it's like be born on December 7th or September 11th or something. It's just not a date.
Right. Exactly. Same kind of deal. Yep. Funny sidebar to that is my birthday is April 15th, which 2 years ago was the Boston Marathon bombing.
Wow.
And the Boston Marathon was always my favorite day of the year anyway. Once a year, it was always my birthday, too, because it's always on a Monday, so it rotates with the date. And so now I'm worried that, like, my birthday is always a sad day here in Boston now. We'll see if people remember the date. I don't think they will. I think they'll just remember the Monday, so I don't think it'll be that big a deal, but we'll see.
Well, I share a birthday with both Dennis from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, April 13th, as well as Thomas Jefferson, which if you look up Thomas Jefferson's birthday, it says April 4th, but if you do modern calendar, it's April 13th. And also, right between our two birthdays, you said April 15th, right, for your birthday?
Yeah, 15, yep.
So right between there, I believe Abraham Lincoln was shot in the head.
Yes, I think you are right. I think I remembered it being the day before. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so we're it's odd that, presidents come on the last two shows of the Bob Sullivan Show. But, yeah, that's, we right in that median there, we have a bad assassination for us.
Yep.
But look at with the Celtics, and the NBA in general. I was trying to get this figured out last night. It was odd that I was going to figure it out last night. But the Southwest Division in the NBA, with the Spurs, Mavericks, Memphis, Rockets, and Pelicans, is this the best division in the NBA since the Pacific? Back in when the Sonics were good, back in the late 80s, early 90s, with the Sonics, Trailblazers, Lakers, Golden State, Phoenix. I mean, is that the best division since then?
I hadn't thought about that. When you look at the standings in the NBA anymore, you never really think about divisions. So other than like the Celtics play all the same teams, I don't think about the divisions in the conference because they do the seeding. But yeah, now that you've run down the teams they got, I just brought it up on my computer. Wow, I mean, every team is going to win more games than they lose. The Spurs are the title favorite. Houston is looking great through 3 games. Dallas is looking pretty good. We know Memphis is good. And Anthony Davis, he's going to be the best player in the NBA in 4 years from now, probably, when LeBron and Durant are just a little bit past their prime. And they're good. Wow. I mean, I don't think it's possible because they'll all beat up on each other, but that could be 5 teams all winning 50 games in the same division if you spread them out and they didn't have to play each other so much. Mm-hmm. Wow. That is...
Do you think that's a legit conversation, though, for the best?
Absolutely, that is. I mean, I'd have to look back at the standings from the year you're talking about, but they might have more wins than those divisions back then.
It would be over like a 5-year span. I mean, I'm condensing one season into,
right?
The 5-year span where you have like the Sun. I mean, even the Suns with Tom Chambers and Kevin Johnson and Eddie Johnson. That was a good team. Yeah. And then Michael Cage, Nate McMillan, Sonics, and whatnot. But you look at all those teams, like the Suns go to the finals in '93. They beat the Sonics. The Lakers went and, the Lakers, Showtime Lakers, I mean, what it might be. You got 2 finals appearances from the Trailblazers. Golden State gave a run to the Lakers in the second round. I mean, you just look at that division. Granted, it was, a 7-team division or whatever it was. That might have been the best division in the NBA. But divide it through 3 now in a conference. I think this is the only division that would give that team a run or that division a run for its money.
That's true. The one possible argument I might make against that is that the Clippers were always around, and they were pretty pathetic back then, so they kind of brought it down a notch. But then,
and the Kings. And the Kings.
Yeah, that's true. In Sacramento, you're right. Although they had, I guess that was a little later when they were kind of frisky. But the other thing is that there's only, out of the Southwest Division, I mean, the Spurs could win again. I wouldn't bet on any of those other teams. Well, I guess maybe one of them might make the finals. I don't think any team from that division is going to win a title in the near future, though. I mean, maybe the
You don't
Pelicans,
think the Cavs can?
I don't think so. I don't see it happening. I mean, I guess I would have to speculate on who I do think is going to win before I say they're not. But, I mean, the Clippers are going to be good for a while. Golden State is up and coming. The Thunder, they're not going away once those guys get back. And then you got the Bulls and the Cavs in the East, too.
I will say this, though. The only team to win it finals from that division was the Lakers.
That's true, yeah. So, I mean, you're right. I mean, I could see one or two of those teams getting the finals appearance in there. That they could have 3 different teams in 3 different years make the finals all from that division.
Well, and I mean, if you replace, I don't know, the Grizzlies with the Thunder, which would make more sense.
Right.
Geographically, it would definitely hold up.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at, at least one team has made it to the conference finals the last 4 years or 5 years or so.
Yeah, you're right.
And I mean, it's
sneak in there.
It's been a strong division. You got other than the Thunder. I mean, you got. I hate to just beat this into the ground, but I brought it up last night, and it just seems like it would be that it's the Spurs. I think the Mavs have an argument for being able to win the West this year. The Grizzlies, I don't think they have an argument for winning the West, but they're going to be in the playoffs. They're one of the, they're a team that can win at least a playoff series.
Yep,
Rockets, people are, high and mighty on them or low and drow on them. And then the Pelicans are the next big thing in the NBA. I think this is obviously the best team in NBA, but it's just a weird thing with how people are with this division.
Yeah, you're right. And they're definitely, they all get overlooked. Like if people are talking about who's going to win the West, you're going to hear the Clippers, you might hear Golden State, the Spurs, but only because they've been there before. Yeah, that division definitely doesn't get credit.
And I don't think a division that gets enough credit for being as crappy as it is the Atlantic.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's so bad. I'm a Knicks fan. You're a Celtics fan. It's how bad is it that we are picking the Raptors to win this division out of the gate?
Yeah, and
it's not even going to be close.
Right. It's going to be hands down. They're like consensus. Everybody's already written them in. It's over. Like it's not even a race. People are giving them the 3rd seed in the East.
Mm-hmm.
Man, yeah, like the Knicks. I think if they're 500, that's maybe their best case scenario. I think the Celtics is probably like 35 wins is the best case. Brooklyn, I don't know. They could be good, but when I say they could be good, I mean about 500. But they look awful against the Celtics, and I don't think any of those guys are really motivated. Darren Williams is nothing compared to what he used to be, and they're going to get Brook Lopez back, and that'll improve him a bit. But then you got the Sixers, who are going to be the worst team in the history of the NBA this year. And I'm not
even worse than the Sixers.
This year's Sixers are going to be the worst team in NBA history. I'm not sure what exact metric I'm going to use to define that, but I guarantee at the end of the year I can find something that shows that. They are so bad. I've never seen a team try to tank so hard before the season even started. With the way they drafted guys who weren't going to be able to play. The Celtics had this guy on their team last year named Chris Johnson. They picked up out of the D-League for nothing. He was kind of okay, and I was sort of hoping they were going to hang on to him. he couldn't make their 15-man roster. He started the first 2 games for Philly.
Well, and Jakar Sampson,